Well, hello, and welcome to episode 239 of Drink the Movies. I'm Brian here, as always, with Michaela. And in 1982, we first entered the grid with Kevin Flynn. Had a good time, threw around some digital frisbees, raced some uh, Tron cycles around. That was a good time. That was a good time. 1982, that was a long time ago. That was like, that was only like 1 year younger than me. In 2010, Tron Legacy, we go back into the grid because Kevin Flynn got stuck there for some reason. Uh-oh, that's no good. And in 2025, we are heading back to the grid for one final time, one new time, one good time. What kind of time was it, Michaela?
Well, it was a better time than I was expecting it to be. Absolutely. I gotta say, like four people went to go see this movie this weekend, which is sad, because they did a lot of, I feel like they did a lot of marketing and there was a lot of CGI and a lot of tech, and more people were excited about the soundtrack than the movie itself, which
Mm.
is kind of fair. Nine Inch Nails, it's amazing. However, I thought it was not the train wreck that I was expecting it to be when I went in to see it. Um, yeah, and I guess we'll talk about all the things, but I was pleasantly surprised. I don't know if it's because my expectations were real low or what, but um, yeah, it was interesting. It was there were six of us in the theater, and that was great. We had the whole theater to ourselves.
The expectations were set for the movie, and the expectations are set for this week's cocktail. So let's grab a can of Red Bull, a bottle of vodka, and we'll be right back to mix up this week's drink.
So Brian, we were looking at cocktails for this. There were a couple things that I really wanted to do. I really wanted to see if I could figure out a way to make a glow in the dark cocktail. And
Mm-hmm.
we also were looking at the color red because there was red all over this from a marketing perspective. Like the color red was everywhere in looked like it was going to be in the movie itself. And so I tried to do both, and I think I failed at one. But the other piece to this is both of us were kind of not excited about seeing this, because we heard it was probably not going to be great. So we didn't want to waste, a real good cocktail on it, which sounds kind of bad. But
You're looking at the glass half empty right there, Michaela. Yeah, I mean, the Red Bull and vodka is not the most inspired of cocktails for sure, but it definitely serves its purpose. It has its place in everyone's, I guess, cocktail journey at
what
some point.
is your
And
come on,
and
hey.
we were looking. We were looking at all the red. We knew that Nine Inch Nails was going to be like throbbing through our ears throughout this thing, and we said, This looks and sounds and is going to feel like going on a bender with Red Bull and vodka. It has to.
Oh yeah. Well, and also like into club. I mean, I don't know. I can't really imagine you into club, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that in a compliment. I mean that in the best way. But everybody has a Red Bull vodka story. I don't know if you if what yours is.
Yeah, I had
But
them. I
I
had two of them. I had one, I don't know, 20 years ago or so.
yep.
Way back in the, I don't know, in the timeline between Tron and Tron Legacy, I had one. I don't know, in college days, I suppose, probably, or shortly thereafter. And then I had one just this weekend in preparation for Tron Ares.
Yeah. Okay. Um, I went vodka Red Bull was my thing when I was trying to like keep up with all my oil and gas friends, and stay up all night drinking.
Mm.
And then I had one night where I had too many triple vodka Red Bulls, and I
Drink the
was
Movies does
jittery.
not condone that, on a
We
side note.
don't. We don't. We absolutely do not. I had a lot of triple vodka Red Bull, and I was jittery for literally 48 hours after that bender evening, and that pretty much cured me. Now I've not had one since, except for this weekend. But I gotta say, it wasn't quite red enough. So here's what you're gonna do to make a vodka Red Bull. You're gonna take like an ounce and a half to 2 ounces of vodka. You're gonna put it in a. I liked it in. I put mine in a shaker tin because I really wanted like a clean look for this particular. But I would probably add it to ice and let some ice melt because that would be good. And then you're going to add Red Bull to it. Now, Red Bull has some effervescence to it. So if you're going to shake it, be real careful. I just stirred it. And then you're going to pour it into a glass. Now, I wanted mine to look real red, and I also wanted it to glow in the dark. So I added a little bit of grenadine, like a quarter of an ounce, maybe. Like it didn't even taste. It added nothing for the to the flavor at all. It just made it nice and red, which I really liked, and for the sake of this pod. And then there are two ways to make something glow in the dark as a drink. You can add riboflavin, which is also B2 as a vitamin, or you can add tonic. Now, gin and tonic might have been a better basic cocktail for
Mm-hmm.
this, but
Yep.
we've done a lot of gin drinks and tonic drinks, and so I got myself some riboflavin. And it comes in powder form. You can get it in pills and things like that. But you don't need very much. So you just make sure that that's at the bottom of your shaker as you spin it, and it should pick up the glow in the dark under a black light. The pictures that I took don't do it justice because the blacklight that I had, I mean, it looked really cool in person, but the pictures didn't do it justice. So I'm not sure if we're actually going to use those when we look at it, but the redness of it is really actually very pretty.
Hmm.
It looks real Tron red. And it was nice to go back. It was nice to go back. I enjoyed the movie better than I enjoyed the drink. I'll say that.
There you
Um,
go. I don't know if the Red Bull and vodka was quite as nostalgic as seeing Kevin Flynn back on our big movie theater screen last night, or seeing the original Tron light cycles there. I don't know about that, but you could definitely play around with this, right? I obviously could use different flavors of vodka. If you wanted to skip the grenadine, you could probably find a vodka that is red in color. The one that comes to mind straight away for me is like the Deep Eddy ruby red, the grapefruit one.
mm,
That's kind of a reddish color there. You could play around with that. You could also play around with Red Bull. They have a few different flavor options. I think they do kind of seasonally kind of thing, and then they have
mhm.
the sugar free and the zero and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, it's a Red Bull and vodka. It is what it is. If you've ever had one, you know exactly what I mean. It's hard to describe much beyond that, but it is a staple of dive bars and now Tron Aries all around.
Yeah. No, it was nice. Yeah, it was a good nostalgia. I don't know if I'll do it again. But the drink, I was really proud of how it looked. I think in this case we were really going for an aesthetic versus like a mouth feel or anything really like inspired from a palate perspective.
That's right.
Mission
Absolutely.
accomplished.
Mission accomplished. There you go. So let's go ahead. We could, we'll not mix up another one of these, but let's go ahead and take a quick break, and we'll be right back to chat about this week's film, Tron Ares.
Since time began, man has gazed at the stars and he has wondered, am I alone? So much talk of AI and big tech today. Virtual worlds, what are they going to look like? When will we get there? Well, folks, we're not going there. They are coming here. I would like you to meet Ares, the ultimate soldier. He's biblically strong, lightning fast, supremely intelligent. And if he is struck down on the battlefield, I will simply make you another.
Spoiler warning for Tron Ares. If you've not yet seen Tron Ares, you probably haven't seen Tron Ares. No one's seen this film. It came out this weekend, but I don't know. Like I said, 5 people have gone to see this film. But if you've not yet seen it, we're going to talk about all the things. So if you don't want spoilers, don't listen to this podcast. Go watch it. Maybe make a Red Bull vodka. Add some riboflavin. Put it under a black light. And think that it's really cool looking. And come back, and we can chat about all things Tron Ares.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely. Yeah, you might not have had a chance to see this. It just came out this past week as of recording. It was released in 2025. It was directed by Joachim Roning, and it stars Greta Lee as Eve Kim and Evan Peters as Julian Dillinger, the heads of the dueling tech companies. Jared Leto plays the AI soldier with a conscience, Ares. Jodie Turner-Smith is the AI warrior, Athena, who is tasked with taking out Ares and Eve. And Jeff Bridges is Kevin Flynn, who is still hanging out in the original Grid. So, Michaela, I mentioned it at the top, right? Tron, the world of Tron. Tron is a person and a programmer. I think the world is not Tron. The main character is not Tron. But that's where we are. That comes out in 1982, right?
Mm.
It introduces the theory of being digitized and put into a computer program as a little itty bitty warrior, right? And you can kill little other itty bitty warriors that are put there by other programmers. That's what we get introduced to in 1982. And then in 2010, we go back to this world of Tron with Tron Legacy. Sam Flynn, Kevin Flynn's son, goes in to retrieve him because for some reason he goes missing and ends up back where he started. So we get that in 2010. There was originally meant to be a sequel to that, Tron Legacy. It comes out, it does pretty well, right? Makes some money, gets
Mm.
nominated for an Oscar. People laud the soundtrack by Daft Punk there. It's intended to get a sequel, which never comes about. Time stretches on, other projects get done by the people that were intending to do it, and so on and so forth. And so we get a big gap in time, and then 2025, just this week, Tron Ares comes out to an expected world. I don't know, Michaela. We were there on opening night to see a different film. It was crickets in the theater. I think there were more people in our showing last night in the IMAX theater than there were on opening night, which is pretty telling to go on a Monday night and have more than that opening thing. But it's hard to tell because Tron was playing in about 17 different formats at the movie theater. We could talk about that as well. But what is, I guess, your background with Tron?
So I remember watching snippets of Tron, the original 1982, at some point in my childhood. I remember it, but I did not remember what it was about. I didn't remember the story arc or anything until Tron Legacy. So then I had to revisit. And I really loved the original Tron. I find it very nostalgic to a time that I don't remember, which is weird. And when there's a ride, a Disney ride, I think it's Disney,
Hmm.
that's a
Hmm.
Tron ride that came out, which seems weird that it came out before Tron Ares probably was thought of because it's been out for the ride's been open for a couple years now. But so far after Tron Legacy, but before Tron Ares, I thought that was interesting. It seems really fun. I saw Tron Legacy one time. I saw it in the theater. And Tron Legacy, much like probably people felt about Tron Ares, Tron Legacy was mostly just a really good time from a music standpoint. Daft Punk, I think, did the soundtrack, and it was one soundtrack that I actually bought in
Mm-hmm.
2010. That's really telling because it was right after the Napster days, so I was careful with how I spent my money on music. So I remember that more than I remember the story. I remember Jeff Bridges showing back up, right? They had like a digitized Flynn, and then they had an old Flynn and a young Flynn, and in the grid itself, and then his son is trying to win him back, and all of this, and then Olivia Hunt is in it, I think, right?
I don't know. Is she
Playing the female Tron, like I don't know. I don't
Olivia
remember much
Wilde?
about Olivia Wilde. Sorry, Olivia Wilde's in it, and so anyway, I remember that. I thought it was okay. I never watched it again. So I was actually kind of excited about Tron Ares, um, just as a concept because it was like, oh, we're going to come back and we're going to see more. But I didn't know, and I wasn't thrilled about the casting. I'm just gonna say that. So I was
Hmm.
like, I don't know if this is gonna be good. I love Kevin Peters. Gillian Anderson was in it, so like there were some redeeming qualities about it, but I just didn't know if it was gonna be any good or not. So it was very. We put it on the schedule, but I was
Yeah.
concerned.
Yeah, kind of same. I remember like I have memory like Tron, I guess the 1982 version is kind of like existed in the ether of popular culture, like whether you saw the film or remembered the film that well. I mean, it would have come out, we would have been too young to see it obviously when it first came out in 1982, so we would have been, kind of in our childhood probably when we would have seen it the first time. So remembering it, not remembering it, that well necessarily, but you remember the little like white jumpsuits, you remember the little frisbees, you remember the light
Mm.
cycles, you remember kind of all that, right? Like all the digitized bits in its 1982 glory. Tron Legacy, I didn't see until actually this weekend. I never caught it kind of the first go around and never really had any sort of intention to watch it until the sequel was coming out. So I figured I better brush up on it and see if there was anything to glean from that. And I know that that didn't review particularly well, but I know a lot of people really liked it. I found it to be okay. I found it to be more compelling than Tron Ares that we just saw last night in some ways, and some ways not. I was most interested going into the movie theater last night after watching Tron Legacy. Daft Punk is in it, right? They go to that club and Daft Punk is there, spinning records. I was like, is Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross going to be in this one? I don't know. I don't know. I don't think so. I didn't catch them anyways if they made any sort of
Yeah.
brief cameo in there. So we'll see about that. But yeah, I mean, going into it, like I was kind of interested in seeing it, casting aside. Um, the red and black was a really cool aesthetic. The soundtrack, Nine Inch Nails, like that sounds like it's going to be amazing. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, I think, have won two Oscars now for composing scores and doing one like actually as their actual band, Nine Inch Nails. That sounded interesting to me, so I knew it was going to sound good. We knew that the visual effects were going to be breathtaking, and yeah, I mean, it certainly was that, but the story, was this going to make any sense? Was it going to play well? I don't know. Going into it last night, it was a real like toss up in the air for me, and then kind of the initial kind of feedback from people. But like you mentioned at the top, Michaela, I was far more impressed with this than I thought I was going to be. So let's talk about the movie a little bit. Uh, these stories, even going back to 1982, are really kind of convoluted, to be quite honest. So we'll try to keep this as straight as possible. But basically, you have the characters Eve Kim, played by Greta Lee, and Julian Dillinger, played by Evan Peters. They are the heads of the Dillinger and Encom corporations, and they're basically dueling, trying to get this AI technology out into the world first, right? Julian Dillinger
Right.
wants to use his for evil, I guess, or for bad, basically to create a military that people can use, right? You just 3D print a warrior and they go, and if they happen to die, then you just print another one. That seems like pretty good business, I suppose. Greta Lee, on the other hand, playing Eve Kim, she wants to, kind of preserve what had been done by the Flynns and this corporation of Encom. Really, kind of get back to the roots of what they're doing. Try to make this stable, and I guess follow in the footsteps of Sam Flynn, right? Who wanted this technology to be free and accessible worldwide. I guess he are meant to get the vibe that that's what Eve Kim was going for. She's trying to figure out this technology to basically make these AI entities more stable. And that's really where the crux of this story is they're fighting for this technology.
Yeah, they're fighting for the ability to create these things in a more permanent sense. Apparently, you can 3D print things, anything from the grid or the ether, and and it'll work for like 29 minutes. Apparently, that's like the amount of time it takes. But then something happens and the 3D print just kind of turns to this weird ash. I loved this from a like aesthetic perspective, and like the visual effects was super cool
Hmm.
because they kind of turn into like they have this blockchain effect that then turns into ash, and then the ash even like starts to fade away. And they do that with like they talked about this nanobot technology thing happening, and it was a whole bunch of science that probably wasn't real, but it looked really cool. But that was the whole thing, is they both of these entities, both of these companies are looking for like what they're calling the permanence code, because they want to be able to create sustainable life forms from the AI world and bring it into the real world. Obviously, one first from a soldier perspective, and the other like wants to build trees and sustainable food sources and creativity and things like that. And
Hmm.
so it kind of does get a little convoluted, because one of the things that we see from the Dillinger Corp is we have Evan Peters, right, playing what is his name? Julian Dillinger. His mom is Gillian Anderson, who is amazing. And Evan Peters is, I love this character. He's talk that we first meet him when he's talking to shareholders, and he shows them who Ares is, right? Who's this kind of command control program. So he's this master program who is like supremely smart, is knows all AI, and is completely expendable. And so he kind of shows this technology to his mom and the shareholders, and his mom is like, I don't like this. But Evan Peters decides to break into the computer of Encore or of Encom,
Hmm.
and we get to see this beautiful, really cool visualization of what it's like for a virus to attack a city or like a castle. which is interesting for me because it's this visualization of what we think like a computer virus would be, right? As they were
Mhm.
trying to break in and get and download these files on Eve Kim, right? Because they want to know where she is. She's disappeared. She's been out of the public eye for a while. There have been a bunch of like video game productions and like launches that she has not been a part of. And Eve's
Mhm.
sister has recently passed, so they thought maybe it was because she was in mourning. But Julian believes that it's because really Eve is off looking for this permanent code somewhere and drilling down and trying to get it to work. So he wants this unit control, this Ares program to go in and download the file on Eve Kim. And it's a really cool start to the film because it's very heisty, it's very action filled, it's got a great soundtrack, the visualization is really cool. And I think in that was probably one of my favorite parts because you got to really see like what I think the original intent was when we're talking about being inside of a computer program and what that could look like.
Mhm.
And now we have the technology to really make it look much cooler than it did in Tron, although the original Tron was pretty epic and great in and of itself.
Yeah, I mean that's part of the gig for Tron, right? Is it's kind of pushing these technological boundaries for movie making, as well as kind of the way that it's illustrating the technology here within the world of Tron itself. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Kind of at the front, you get that kind of heisty bit, and then it goes into more of a pursuit thing, right? So Eve Kim does find this code, right, and they are able to make a tree. They're at like the Fortress of Solitude there, Kevin Flynn's
Mm,
Solitude, I guess, out in the Arctic tundra, and they figure it out. They find its plot hole right there. They start firing up all those old computers from the '80s with the 5 1/4 inch floppy disks. Those things aren't going
yeah,
to work. It's too cold. Those things are going to fog up. It's not going to work at all. But they find the code. They make a tree. It was an orange tree, I think, or lemon,
yeah,
orange, or
yeah.
I don't know, some kind of citrus tree. They make it, and it lasts longer than 29 minutes. They call up back to the old office, and they're like, "Hey, we just made a tree, and it's still here for like 4 hours. So that's good. That's good." So she's going to, of course, take the code. She puts it on a little zip disk, and she puts it in her coat, her very cool looking like leather coat that she's wearing. She gets on her cool motorcycle, and she heads back into the office. But bad news because now you have Ares, you have Athena coming after her, and that's where the movie kind of flips, right? It goes from being like this heisty thing, like computer thing, into being more of this like stalking, like actually, it is the month of Halloween, so kind of more of this horror type of a thing. It gave me a lot of like Terminator 2 vibes with like
Mm,
Athena like stalking her down. You get like some kind of themes of things like like vampires and werewolves kind of there, where you're like literally just trying to run out the clock, right? Like waiting for the sun to come up or waiting for the
right.
transformation to happen, right? Because you only have to make it like 29 minutes and then you're good to go because they're gonna dematerialize. So you have that kind of thing, and of course they do end up catching up with Eve and sending her into the grid, where Ares is going to have a little crisis of faith, I guess, as much as an AI entity could have a crisis of faith.
Yeah, I mean, he downloads all her files, right? So in that original kind of heisty moment, right? I couldn't figure out what he was downloading, but apparently it was all of her files. So he like every text message she ever sent, anything that was digitized, all the videos of her, like her entire biography, like he had to download all of that to figure out how to find her in the real world. And so he sees her and she's actually pretty empathetic to him, and he kind of that really resonates with him, and so he has this conversation with Julian Dillinger and says, hey, look, we can figure out a way to because she's seen the code, even though she doesn't have the code anymore. She's destroyed it. She has seen it, and all we have to do is go in and into her brain stem and like figure that out. But that means she's actually going to die in the real world, not just in the grid. And Julian is like, "That's cool. I don't care. That's totally fine." And Ares really bothers him.
Hmm.
It bothered him earlier. One of the other programs got like maimed in this fight that they were having in the computer, and they went ahead and just completely destroyed that program. His name was Caius, and that really bothered Ares. And so it's interesting because at this point, Ares is like, well, everybody's expendable, but surely these lives, these programs, these entities matter. And so he kind of just has this about face, and it's very I don't know. It starts out subtle, but then he outright lies to Athena about what Julian's directives are. And then he ends up helping Eve kind of escape. And
Hmm.
they're on this really cool bike and they're running through this computer program trying to get to a different area of the program where they can go ahead and materialize her again in the real world, which is interesting that she's going to get 3D printed again. I don't know, that's cool. That's neat. I'd
Seems
love to be
seems
able to
not
be like,
great.
oh, I don't
Yeah.
know. There's a lot of what ifs there, but yeah, just 3D printer again. Why didn't
Yes.
they do this to her dying sister and
Mm.
right, like material dematerialize her, put her in the grid, take out the cancer, and then why aren't they doing that? I that would make a ton of money. Some pharmacy would want
It
it.
wouldn't it
Yep,
wouldn't make as much money as making soldiers would,
I
guarantee that.
suppose.
Let's talk a little bit about the vehicles here. You touched
Mm,
on that, right? They make their break. They turn into like I don't know, it's like a two-person like motorcycle, boat, jet ski kind of thing. That one's pretty awesome.
yeah.
We have to talk about the light cycles, of course. That is what Tron is known for here, of course. So we get that and kind of that first pursuit. You have Ares and Athena, tracking down Eve Kim. She's on her own awesome motorcycle, and then Eve Kim totally uses her motorcycle and like throws it at Athena, which is pretty amazing. That's pretty epic stuff right there. Knocks her off, and that's when she starts to run. Like that's when I was getting like the Terminator vibes. Is she's like running up this ramp in this parking garage thing that they're on. But she just totally just, pushes the button on the light cycle and it like flips itself right side up. That's pretty handy. And then she gets on, totally knows how to drive it right away. That's cool. But that's probably like the most epic part of that because then you have this light cycle thing and it's going through like the actual like city streets, right? It's not in like the grid of like
Mm.
like the computerized world, right? It's through like our actual world. And you're seeing that it's going through traffic. You're seeing it like top down, or it's creating the red lines. It looks amazing. The Nine Inch Nails score is going like absolutely nuts at that. I love that. That was probably my favorite part of the movie. And then kind of the escape there when they're on this jet ski kind of thing because you have the other soldiers that are like basically taken their little baton of travel, which seems very handy, and turned it into like those little like fighter jet bird looking things, and are giving them pursuit as they're kind of going through that, and it's pretty cool, right? Because leaving the long trail that will like destroy things if you go through it, or it turns into like a wall, I guess is what it does. It doesn't really like cut through so much, but so that's pretty epic. You have the big one from the poster. It's like a big like spaceship looking thing, like
Yeah.
U thing. I feel like Julian Dillinger gets a pretty lengthy piece of rope from like local law enforcement to be like, hey, could you stop sending like your soldiers out to destroy the world, please? I feel like he gets a lot of opportunities before they finally just go in and are like, oh, okay, we've had enough of you, you knucklehead. But so that's pretty cool. Were there any of the vehicle things, or more of like the Tron-esque, legacy bits? Not Tron Legacy, but the legacy
Yeah.
aspects of Tron, I guess.
I love so the cycles, the bikes were really cool. And I loved the visualization when Eve Kim is hanging on to the back of Ares and she reaches her hand down to like touch what looks like water, but it's inside the grid, so it's not water. It's like this digitized, like
Made
they
out of
look
like
like
Bitcoin
little
or something.
yeah, right. They're these little like blocks, but it's like watery blocks. It's so weird. That was amazing. I really thought I did not understand why we had this giant upside down U shape looking red thing that was going slower than molasses in January when they only had
Yeah,
29
you only
minutes.
have 29
I,
minutes. You gotta
that
move
was the
on.
longest, look, that was the longest 29 minutes I've ever seen. Like Athena, it wouldn't have made it across the ocean. I don't know what city this was actually supposed to be in, but like there was a bay and she was going across the bay. She never would have made
Mm-hmm.
it. She was going so slow. And so that was kind of the thing that it was interesting to me that they should have had like two or three more iterations of Athena coming out after her to get her. I really think that that should have been because her little flight. She had this really cool. It was like a pterodactyl Iron
like
Man
a hang
suit,
glider
right?
kind of thing. Yeah, yeah.
It was so neat, and that was way faster than this giant ship thing that she was like this upside down U that she was. I mean, it looked cool, but it was just way too. That part was very clunky to me.
Yeah.
But
Well, I like the most comedic bit of the movie is when they're making their first escape and Eve Kim steals like a van, like a like a work van to get them in
yeah,
there, and they only have 29 minutes to get to the office, right, before Jared
mhm,
Leto's character is going to dematerialize. So I like that, and like he makes a comment. He's like, "We're never going to make it in this thing. You're literally leaving a building that has sticks that can turn into like fighter jets. You just grab one of those sticks. What are you even doing?
right.
Messing about,
What?
messing
Yeah,
about." But that's okay. That's okay. They do that. They steal some other kids like Honda Civic, which is pretty fun, and I guess it leads into the storyline then of talking about nostalgia. And I totally set you up, Michaela. Talk about these vehicles, and you missed the big one. The big one, of course, is when they go to the original grid. Does Ares, and you get the original light cycles there. It kind of comes in. I have to say those look pretty amazing. Pretty amazing.
yep.
If you are liking those, you can go to Hasbro right now. They have started selling that as like a Kickstarter kind of a thing that they do there on their program. It looks pretty cool. It looks pretty cool. And then, of course, you get the heartfelt bits with Kevin Flynn. Jeff Bridges, the dude of Tron himself, is there to speak his words of wisdom to his new AI buddy.
Yeah. This part was so cool. Because they couldn't help but make it look a little modern, but it's still like so perfect in like the 1982 where you only have like three colors and everything's kind of grayed out.
It's all blue and white. Yeah.
I
Yep.
I loved it so much. And Flynn is still there. He's like, "Hey man." He's kind of the dude. He's like if the I feel like this Flynn is different. He's even older. He's
Hmm.
got this kind of robe on. He's like the Dumbledore dude of a program. I don't know. And he says, "Welcome, program." And you're like, "Oh my God, this is the best." I was really excited because I feel like Jeff Bridges' character of Kevin Flynn got a lot more airtime in Tron Legacy. I don't remember all the ins and outs of that
Yeah.
film, but I remember that was a much bigger piece. And this was like just paying homage, but also like helping the character of Ares kind of discover more about what they are as a program and what's important and why they were created, and kind of this faith kind of scenario, which is interesting to think of a program having faith. But I really liked it. The idea of permanence is actually impermanence. I thought that was really interesting, where it was like, yeah, I mean, you'll survive longer than 29 minutes, but who knows how long you'll actually survive. And you've only got one shot versus, Athena never understood. She followed her directive, right? Completely. She never questioned Julian Dillinger. She did all the things, and she could be reborn 87 times, but, in 29-minute increments.
Hmm.
And, you know, Ares was trying to describe like how rain felt to her. And that was really hard for her to even understand. And so it was like, which would you rather have? It was this really amazing dichotomy that I did not expect to be having after watching Tron Ares, right? Where it's like
Yeah.
you get to live for 29 minutes and you get to, be reborn. So like nothing can harm you. And if you die, we'll just make you another one. No big deal. Or you have as much time as anybody, right? As a human, but you've only got this one shot. What
Hmm.
do you do with that time, right? Like which would be better? Which one sounds better to you, right? A really interesting take on it. And I love that, Kevin Flynn is the one who kind of is the one who dishes this dichotomy out to us as the audience. It was really good.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've got that, and then the film kind of wraps up then with Julian Dillinger basically getting caught. Like
Mm.
so,
The
his
police
mom
finally are
his
like,
mom dies. The
"Hey,
police, yeah, his mom dies. The police finally show up and are like, "What are you doing?" And he basically sends himself to the grid, right, to avoid prosecution. And then he's going to basically get he gets like the identity disc from like his granddad, I think his grandpa from like the original Tron. So you get that kind of closing bit, and then Ares is off, right? He's done done his good deed. He got Eve Kim to safety. They've got the permanence code now to go. They do a little montage where they fed the world or something. So that's good. That's good. He sends her a postcard and it's like, I'm doing fine. I'm checking out the world, seeing all the things, and that's pretty much where it ends. It felt very much like they were setting this up for a sequel. The $33 million that it made on its opening weekend is not speaking that good to that, but I guess time will tell. Like I said, there were probably more people in the theater with us last night than there were on opening night. So maybe I think people are softening up on this a little bit. Maybe it'll pick up a little bit. And I mean, it certainly is showing like in way too many formats. I want to talk about that because we saw it in 3D. Michaela, I don't love a 3D movie, specifically because I wear glasses, so it makes it annoying to have to wear like a second pair of glasses. I don't know if there's some sort of like 3D prescription lens I could get for myself to wear, but that seems like a bridge too far. Although maybe I'll need it for Avatar here in a minute. But the 3D would seem like completely wasted. There was like one block that flew past me, like in the opening, kind of thing, right? Where they're doing like the newsreel. That was fun. The coolest 3D effect for the whole thing was like the movie ended and it showed. I don't even remember what it showed. I think it was like holding on like Ares or he was on like a motorcycle or something like that. Yeah, he got on his Ducati and then like the credits start to roll and the credits were in 3D, like kind of
Mhm.
out in front of that.
Yeah.
That was like the only like neat 3D effect. So throw those glasses in the bin.
Yeah.
See it in the regular. I don't know. What were your thoughts on the 3D? And then I guess kind of some general thoughts.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was really surprised that there was 3D IMAX, there was regular IMAX, there was RPX IMAX 3D, there was RPX 3D, there was 4DX IMAX 3D. I mean, there were so many ways you could watch this. And that sounds great in theory, but I think that screwed with their audience. And honestly, if I were to pick anything, I would pick the one with the best sound because the soundtrack was amazing. The soundtrack was just completely incredible. And the sound mixing with that, I thought
Hmm.
was very well executed. Because it could have been really I don't know, hard on the ears to hear all of these things and the whizzing by and stuff. But yeah, the 3D was a waste. It was a waste completely. You didn't need it. In fact, one time I in the middle of things I took off my I took off my 3D glasses to see if it was actually in 3D because I got no I
Yeah.
saw no differences. It was, I mean, it was a real 3D movie. It just didn't, I don't know why they did that. I don't know why they spent the extra time to create that format. I don't think I think it was probably a mistake for them to do that from a return on investment perspective. And general thoughts, I really enjoyed this film. I liked it way better than I liked Tron Legacy. I would probably watch this again. I
Hmm.
wouldn't watch it again, every year, but I would probably watch it again. I was really pleasantly surprised with this. And I think that it's good that people are softening to it and watching it because I do think that it covers things that Tron Legacy, it had some missed opportunities, and we revisit those in Tron Ares. The soundtrack
Yeah.
is incredible. The way that the soundtrack unfolds with the story is really great. Um, I should have expected no less from Trent Reznor and Atticus, right? Like they really know what they're doing. But I was still really pleasantly surprised. I think it's worth people's time. And I kind of want to know what happens next. It would be really cool if we could, because Julian becomes Sark again, right? He goes back to the
Right. Yeah.
grid, and I'd love to see like a final showdown where if Kevin Flynn came back and was like the dude again, that'd be cool.
Yeah. And that's what kind of that postcard
Mm,
said, right? As he was going to go and look kind of for these other characters, from the legacy films there as well. So I think the story could continue. Just to hit on like visually, like it's breathtaking. A lot of this was breathtaking looking. So I want to give a special shout out to David David Seeger, who was the ILM supervisor, the production visual effects supervisor for ILM, who does the special effects here. Because I don't even know like where you begin with this. You get like a notepad and you're like computer stuff, underline exclamation point. I don't even know. You get to work every day, and there had to have just been like a checklist of like literally like 10 million things to do like every day. Like I don't even know how you do it. So hats off to this person who's probably the most organized person in the whole world potentially. I don't
Yeah,
know.
for
So
sure.
look to him for organization tips for your own life. So shout out there. But it looked amazing. If you can see it on a movie screen, like even if you don't like Tron or care about this, like it was fun enough to watch and it looks great. It sounded great. The soundtrack was amazing. And yeah, I like this a lot more than I expected to. Having just watched Tron Legacy, I don't really want to say that I like this better or worse than that, but I think there were definitely aspects of Tron Legacy that I liked better than this, and there were definitely aspects of Tron Ares that I liked better than Tron Legacy. So we'll see if that kind of carries on, if they're able to
Mm.
carry on with the story. I think they've done a couple of other things. I think there's been some comic books in the Tron world. There was like an animated TV series. I think that was geared at like younger kids. It was on that like Disney XD channel that they had that was for like kind of like the tweens and teens kind of a thing. So you have that out there, and of course you have the light cycle ride there at Disney's Magic Kingdom. It actually opened in Shanghai, I think, first. Quite a while ago, and then it just opened in 2023 down
Mm.
in Florida. So maybe we'll have to check that out at some point. Um, yeah, Tron Ares. I don't know. It was a good time. It was a good time. I was a little I don't want to say salty about seeing it, but I was definitely not looking forward to it walking into the theater last night. But I was glad that we had gone and seen it walking out of it.
Yeah. Oh, same. 100% agree there. Um, yeah, it's worth it. If you're listening and you've not seen it, go see it. It's worth your time. And if you did see it and we're totally wrong and it was the worst piece of garbage ever, let us know. Let us know if one of the things that I do want to talk about just from a cocktail perspective is they did actually have a cocktail in the movie, and it was also basic, and it was the mimosa. We could have done that. That would have been interesting. I would have loved to have done like a glow in the dark mimosa.
Mm.
More to come on that. I'm gonna work. I'm gonna check my riboflavin.
I was gonna say
B2.
you have your
I have
B2s.
about
You can make anything glow now, I
I can
guess.
make
Just
anything
get black
glow.
lights all around the house. You can just do it all, I guess. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
see. We'll
Love
see.
it.
If you have a good Tron cocktail, there were allegedly Tron cocktails at the theater last night. They I saw them eventually on like the TV advertisement board thing, but we didn't have any of those. So if you had a good one at the theater, if you have a good Tron cocktail, definitely let us know that. And if you want to see pictures of Michaela's, you can do that. It's on our website. It's www.drinkthemovies.com. You can go there for episode recaps, cocktail recipes, links to all of the stuff that can be found there on the website. And let us know if you made it out to see Tron Ares. Let us know what you think about that. Let us know what you think about Kevin Flynn. Let us know if you think The Big Lebowski and Tron take place in the same filmatic universe. They absolutely do. Kevin Flynn is the dude 100%. So let us know all that stuff. You can do it on our social medias. It's at Drink the Movies on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky, and Facebook.com/Drink the Movies. You want to check out Patreon because we're doing some pretty fun stuff over there. I have to say, we have our Hangouts coming up very shortly, but we did a new fun episode recording yesterday that we shared with Patreons to kind of get some feedback and things going forward here. Something new we're going to be trying out, but that is available only to our Patreon patrons over at Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/drink the movies for more information on that. Michaela, we've got a couple more spooky things coming, right? It is the month of October. And like I said, Tron Ares was pretty spooky, I think. So I think that this
Yeah.
fits pretty well. So where do people need to go to get subscribed, to give the podcast a little love so more people can listen to it, all that stuff?
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, anywhere where Spotify podcasts are supported and distributed. We do 2 drops a week normally here at the Normal Drink the Movies. This is not our Patreon site. So we do our lobby bar, which features usually an easy cocktail that anybody, even you, can make and talks about all things box office. And then we have our deep dives like the one you just listened to. If you're liking any of that, hit the subscribe button. There is a button on your phone, on your rectangle. I promise it exists. You can also leave us 5-star reviews. You can communicate and leave comments on all the social media. If you like video games, even if you don't like video games, if you like cocktails, if you just like listening to Brian get excited about stuff, you should go listen to Drink the Video Games because it's incredible. I'm probably almost more proud of that than I am about Drink the Movies because it's done so well. Go check it out. I pop in and give y'all a cocktail as you talk about all things. The latest one is this really cool Star Wars Unleash the Force Unleashed. It's really great. Go check that out. That's Drink the Video Game. So there's my plugs, all of them.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I definitely appreciate that. Yeah, maybe we'll mix up a Red Bull and vodka over there too. I don't know. I don't know. But thank you so much for checking that out, and thank you so much for tuning in to Drink the Movies today. We talked about Tron Ares. So stick around. We'll be back with some more stuff next week. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you next time on
Drink
Drink
the
the
Movies.
Movies. Tron.
Tron. It was really nice. I mean, I don't know. I think honestly, this one of the things that resonated for me was that I could definitely be one of those people that falls in love with an AI because he knew everything about her.
Yeah.
And he could just be super manipulative and pick all the buttons, right? And you didn't know if he was being that way because he genuinely like had like a bend towards that or if he was just, the Terminator. It's really good. Really good. Was thinking about that all night and didn't sleep, so that's great.
Eileen Terminator.